And we are the Gratitude Girls.
The Gratitude Girls are in the house. Hi, Lori. How are you?
Hi, Catherine.
Today's a special day. Not only is it Gratitude Girls Day, but we have some amazing conversations that we're going to be having tonight with our guest. I really cannot wait to bring her on and make an introduction. First, I just want to ask you, how is everything? Sometimes we go right into the show, but we can just get into each other for a minute. Is everything good?
Everything is wonderful.
Okay, amazing. This is an international call. So right now, for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, my name is Rara. I like to walk into the room and say Rara's in the house. And I'm broadcasting to you live tonight from Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario, Canada. And I'm here with my amazing partner. And I'll let you do your introduction.
I am Lori Del Crodecki, and I am in a little town called Columbia outside of Nashville, Tennessee.
It's home, right?
It's home.
And we're both at home tonight, broadcasting live. So that's fun as well. So Lori, is there anything that you want to talk to our audience about? Someone might be wondering, like, what are these two girls doing here? Why are they the Gratitude Girls? What does that mean? Sometimes people ask me, like, what does Gratitude Girls stand for? And I think, it stands for so many things. It's sort of who we are. But that doesn't explain it, right? So how did we get here, and why do we have the show? Maybe you can walk us down memory lane.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the biggest things is because we both practice gratitude, right, every day. But so Catherine and I are both in a direct sales company called Send Out Cards. And we are actually, if you know anything about that, we are like cross-lined to each other. But the thing is, each year, the company at their international convention, they have an award and a theme for that year. And so 2013, the theme was gratitude. And that year, our CEO got up on stage, and by all the thousands of distributors and customers in the company, they submit their request or nominations of who they think shows the most for this, whatever the theme is for that year. So 2013 being gratitude. And so our CEO announced that Catherine won. So she got up on stage, they have a little talk, she gets her awards. And then our CEO says, for the first time ever, and the only time since then, that there was a tie. And so then he starts giving the accolades and attributes of the other person. And he's always like really cute about it. Like he gives different little tips and doesn't like lead on to who it is. And then eventually he'll say he or she, and then more tips. And I've been with the company since pretty much the beginning, since the company was 3 months old. So I was like, okay, who is it? Who is it? And anyway, it ended up being me. So Catherine and I met on stage in front of thousands of people at one of our international conventions. And we both are of the mindset that there's nothing coincidental in life. There's always a purpose and a plan for everything. We didn't know what it was at the time, but we knew that Gratitude Girls was born. And now here we are, over 10 years later, we have been doing these shows every single month.
That's amazing. 10 years, right? This is really amazing. Not that we ever thought it wouldn't be a long time, but wow, I remember standing on stage next to you. I remember what we were both wearing. I remember how it felt. I remember everything about it. And every time we get to do a show and we talk about it, it brings that joy right back into my entire being. And I'm standing on stage meeting you for the first time. And I want to share something that our audience may or may not know. When I heard Lori's name, I remember thinking, I really wanted to know who she was, because Lori may not tell us about herself, but she's received awards and recognition for giving the most gifts in our company. Okay, so let that sink in. Giving the most gifts. And I thought, I really want to meet that person. What would it be like to receive a gift from Lori? And true to my question, as soon as I met Lori, she gave me a gift. I am still looking at it today. It's right across the hall, right across the room, not the hall, on the other side of my desktop. And Lori, true to self, hands me a gift. And I thought, this is what it feels like when someone is truly a go-giver. And I was so excited. I remember we walked down off the stage and we touched hands, and that was it. Now, it sounds a little bit like a love story, and it is a girl romance. It really is. And when you have a partner, if you don't have a romance with them, then you probably don't have the right partner. You truly care about that person when you're on stage, on camera, and off camera. And that has developed over 10 years for us. And that was such a magical moment. I want to thank the universe for bringing us together, and Cody, and thank you and I for both being at the same place at the same time. So we get to meet wonderful people and hear their stories and listen to the questions from our audience. So tonight is no exception to the rule. I have told my friends and network a little bit about our guests, thinking just tune in and listen to her, because you're going to be blown away. And I say that with, of course, all due respect, like just how exciting it is. But I know that you're going to give the intro for our guest tonight. So without any further ado.
Yes, absolutely. So yes, and so I live in Nashville, Tennessee, and in Nashville, I have some clients that are in the video and music industry, and so I get invited to a lot of private, closed door type events, and where lots of different neat and interesting people, different popularity, whatever, from different areas of life. But I always love to meet people and I love to hear their stories. So at one of the events, I met Missy. And so we were talking, getting to know each other, and she starts to tell me her story. And the same thing, just like with Catherine, it's like one of those like love at first sight things, like you just know you've got that connection. And I just knew, okay, this girl, she has to be on our show. And so we literally planned the show like a year and a half ago. I mean, our list is backed up. We have a long waiting list of people wanting to get on the show, but I knew I had to fit her in. And I came back and talked to Catherine and said, we've got to get her in. When can we get her in? And that was the soonest we could do it. But so Missy Maxwell Worton, she is a wonderful person. Make sure you read all her bio, make sure you connect with her, follow her, make sure you go on Amazon and get her book, or on her website and get her book. It will just, your life will be changed, I promise, for the better if you read her book. And it's Don't Mess with This Mama. Welcome, Missy.
Hi, Lori. Good to see you. And Rara.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Missy, I have so many things I want to ask you. Just first, I want to ask you, how did you get that title?
The title came, I was working on the book for 7 years. And I had another title. It was Finding Favor. And about a week before I was going to put it up, I was talking to my publisher and he said, you've got the wrong title. And I just went, what do you mean? What do you think it should be? And he goes, it needs to be Don't Mess with This Mama. And I laughed. I literally laughed. I said, you gotta be kidding. And he said, no, I'm not kidding. I said, okay, I need a week to just pray about this and think about this, because this changes everything. And I really didn't want it to be about me. And it didn't become about me. Don't Mess with This Mama it's a great book, but it's not about me. And that's what I was concerned about. So I came back a week later and I said, all right, let's do it. So we had to redo everything. It delayed us about 2 months, but that's okay. And we basically had to, like, I'll show it. You could see we had to make a new front cover because the other one was Favor, her face. And but I'm really happy with the title, and it's opened a lot of doors.
7 years.
7
So
years.
for anyone who's watching tonight who says, I'm writing a book, I'm writing it, I'll be done. Can you just put a little bit of light on the process of a 7-year work in progress?
Right. Well, a lot of times when you're writing a true story, when you start writing your book, you go back and reach some of those memories that hit on nerves and they trigger you, and you have to deal with that before you move on, so that you could write in such a way that it's authentic, and it's through just through a spirit of love, instead of putting anything damaging out there. And that's what I really sought to do. I wanted people to read my book and to feel the love behind it, and to feel the joy and the compassion that I had for this little girl, as well as my husband. And so it takes time to heal some of those things. And I didn't think she was ready for the book to come out. And I wanted to make sure her little heart was healed and ready to go. And she had transitioned into our family well enough to know that we were not going anywhere. And this book wasn't about her. It was about the goodness of God, really, and showing up in our story.
So being triggered and working through it and healing is quite therapeutic.
Yeah.
So it doesn't just happen like that. Like, well, I think I'll just, some people use different terms about how one can go through a transition, and it truly is a life-changing experience, I'm certain. So having spent 7 years going through your writing and the triggers and the transitions, do you feel you came out of this a different person?
Oh, absolutely. I actually came out of Ethiopia different. I looked at life differently. I valued people more, because I knew even the people who came against us, somewhere in their life, they weren't born bad, but somewhere in their life, they were treated wrong. And that came out on us, and what they did. And it caused me to really look at people differently. But then when I went through, and now I'm teaching new authors how to write their book. So that's one of the things. So I'm helping them go back into their childhood sometimes, to look and find out, okay, what do I need to deal with, so I could come out of this a whole person, and not just, for lack of better word, kind of throw up on people. You don't want to do that. You want people to learn. You want people to grow. You want to impact people in a very positive way when they read your book. So if they're going through that same type thing, then they see it as an overcomer, not a victim. And that's the way I love helping people write, because you are an overcomer. You may not see the total story yet, but you are overcoming it.
So the perception of the writer could be, I really have to tell you all of this. And the translation is, you're throwing up over the audience.
Yes.
Okay.
Don't do that.
So when the writer is thinking, I just have to tell you this one more detail because this really makes a difference, what you're saying is, you're thinking it, you think people want to know it, but on the other side, it's just maybe too much to comprehend.
Yes, sometimes it could be too much, and you don't want to trigger people. You want them to see, this kind of sounds like something I've been through, but then on the end of it, they look at what you did to overcome it, and they get that hope that stirs up in them, that maybe if I did something like this, maybe it is better on the other side. Maybe I just need to go back and forgive this person, because I'm the one being chained down. And I just need to release it so I can move on in life. So if you're going to write a book about a trauma that happened in your past, have something at the end where it bridges, so that the reader comes away a better person. They put your book down and they rise up as a different person who knows that they can overcome obstacles in their life.
So don't leave the reader in this open metaphor where it could go wrong in their conscious or subconscious, because then they'll get lost perhaps on the wrong side of that, right?
Yeah, and they just doesn't help anybody to get mad. That's why I don't watch the news a lot. Or at all.
That's a good segue. So what is a day in the life of Missy?
Oh man. Well, I get up early. I try to get up about 4. I have a intensive writing group that meets at 6 twice a week. And we talk through the process of writing. A lot of them are in the muddy middle. A lot of them are just starting. Some are finishing up, and they're trying to edit out that stuff that it's not going to help anybody, but they still are trying to encapsulate an amazing story that has impact. So that is like my first 3 hours after I work out. And then I spend time with, I love my animals. I know that sounds crazy. My kids are now, out of the 4 kids I have, 3 of them have moved out and into their life. 1 is in high school. And so mama just tries to write. I'm writing for magazine articles. I'm working on my next book. I'm writing my speeches, a lot of things that I've now got to speak, got a lot of speaking engagements. So and then my husband comes home and we spend time together in a very empty house, it feels like.
Well, Missy, thank you for sharing that. You talk about writing and writing a new book, and you might have days where our audience is thinking, well, what happens if something shows up for you? I won't call it a block, but a pebble. What happens if something shows up and it just like a glitch and it doesn't go exactly the way you want? Do you have some strategies that you'd like to share with our audience that you could tell us about?
Well, if you're writing a book and you have writer's block, which is very common, it's usually because you are, 1, afraid of writing something. You're ashamed of it, possibly. Shame has a huge place in our story, and getting past that. So a lot of times it's a block that you're ashamed of it. You don't want to write it, don't want to deal with it, or it's just it's an area that you just you don't know how to say it. And a few things that I tell my writers is just write it. Like, nobody is going to read it. Write for the audience of 1 and just put it out there, and don't stop writing. And that's one of the things I tell all of them: stop editing yourself. If I could tell you one thing, do not edit that first book. Just write it, get it out. And then in the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th draft, that's where the genius comes in. That's where you start saying, oh, this makes no sense to put that there. Oh, that's like the 3rd time I said that. That's what you can do. But if you have true writer's block, I would suggest starting to exercise. One of the greatest things that have helped my ladies that I work with, the new authors, is go out and get some sweat, because what happens, it activates a neurological area that activates memory recall, creativity. You're quicker to pull things out, and you flow better. So those are just a few of the really simple things that you probably already knew but didn't know it. And definitely morning time is the best time for most people to write. And take this little guy right here and put it somewhere where you can't hear it until the alarm goes off. That is the biggest distraction. That has destroyed more books, more creative genius than anything I know is being distracted.
So Missy, you're talking about writing. In case someone says I'm writing, you mean
Right.
Take it in your hand and write, not notes on your phone, not you're talking about using the art of pulling the words out and anchoring it. So in case somebody's thinking, well, I'm just going to voice text my book, that's not what you're talking about.
You can. I mean, voice tech, that's something. Otter is great. Otter AI is great for when you do start walking. For instance, I have several of the people I work with that they're in a writer's block. They start walking and all of a sudden genius hits. They're not near their computer. So I've taught them to basically pull this out, put it to Otter AI and start dictating. And when you get back to your office or your home, wherever you're at, then go back to it and type it out, or just it'll be in your computer. It'll be ready for you. But that's one of the ways technology, that's one of the ways it serves us. So but some people are longhand writers. I'm not, because the longer I go, the tired my hand is more and more tired of writing out longhand. But AI is great if you can use the Otter AI or the voice text.
Thank you. And you said something about 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th edit. So for someone who's writing a book for the first time, they might be saying, what do you mean fifth edit. I already wrote it. I know what I mean. Can you just share a little bit about that in case the audience is in shock?
Well, the first draft that you do, that is for you to then now sit down and read it as a whole. And you will see as you read it through, there's the areas that stop you. And as a writer, as an author, you don't want people to stop in your book. You want to keep that flow. So that's the first edit. Then the second edit, third edit, those that you can go into grammar, you can go into spelling, all of those things. I'm horrible at grammar, so it did take about 7 to get me right. But the other thing is that you're going to recognize that some of the content in there was just for you. It's not for the reader, but it helped you write in such a way that brought the truth, the authentic story out in you. And anything that pulls away from your story and takes the person away from what you're trying to say in the message of the book, that needs to be pulled out. But you'll see it in the second, third, fourth edit.
Thank you. The glasses get clearer. In
They
case you're
do.
wearing rose-colored glasses like I am, then
I know. And less is more, always. Less
edit
is
later, it's clear. Oh, thank you. Thank you for that. I know Lori has some questions for you. Lori, would you like to share a question with Missy?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I mean, of course, this is the Gratitude Girl show, so we have to talk a little bit about gratitude. And we always say, we all have so much to be grateful and thankful for in life. And, you never want to leave out somebody or something or whatever. But if you could just pick one short snippet story of, and I know some of your story anyway, but just one short snippet story to share with the world of something that you have in gratitude. Could you share that with us?
Oh my goodness. Wow. Every day there's something I am grateful for. I'll share something recently that's happened. If you read my book, you'll find out that we have 4 children, and the first 2 are biological. Then the second 2 we adopted from Ethiopia. And the first child, when we picked him up, the lady had let us know his story, and it was that because of his situation, his mother and father were martyred in front of him, and he was sold into a situation to where he had no shoes. He ran away into the streets of Addis Ababa, and in that time, what happened were, with no shoes, infections started coming into his legs and the eggs and everything. And when they took him in to the doctor before we were going to adopt him, when they first brought him into the orphanage, they looked at the legs, and he said, we need to amputate above the knee. And the orphanage director immediately said, no. She felt in her heart, she literally said, she heard the words, do not let them amputate his legs. They're connected to his destiny. Well, needless to say, the doctor said he'll be dead in 3 days, so take him. So they took Shawit and they prayed for him and just put Vaseline on his feet, something like Vaseline. Came back 3, you know the story, how it is. Well, last night we celebrated with him with Atlanta United, when him going into a situation where he's that good of a player that he is looked at by a team like that. And I am grateful that a woman heard not to amputate those legs. And I think it's in the little things in life that we see, that sometimes we just have to trust that we're making good choices, because those choices can impact the rest of our life. And I mean, I'm grateful, I'm thankful for the big banquet that we had last night, because I celebrate him and I celebrate what God did in his life. So that's just one of many. I probably have thousands and thousands of things I'm grateful for every day.
Maybe that's another book.
Yeah. Grateful.
Remember where the inspiration came from.
Yeah, I will.
Missy, we like to have fun on the show as well. And we like to, and thank you, by the way, for sharing that very touching story. And we're very happy that it turned out the way it did,
Mhm.
the way it is. And with having fun, we like to drop the mic and pass it right over to you. So I have a feeling that you'll be okay with that. And you can just think about a question that you have for Lori and I, and let us know what that question is and who you would like to answer it. And we're happy to pass the show over to you for a short while.
Okay. All right. Well, this is one thing I do want to ask you all. When you met each other, was there I want to know what it looked like when you went back to Canada and you came back to Tennessee. What did it look like? How did you keep that relationship going between each other? Was it a lot of Zoom? Was it phone calls? And what are you most grateful for in the other person? And I actually would like to hear both of your response.
Okay, who would you like to go first?
Lori, let's have Lori go first.
All right. Well, back in that day, it was Google Hangouts and also Webinar Jam. So it was before Zoom was around. So we were doing those. But yeah, we just literally started, at our convention, we basically hung out for like, I don't remember, 5 or 6 days together. And so we got to know each other a lot during that time. We were pretty much glued at the hip to each other. And so, and we knew, like, we both knew that there was something major destined for us. And, we just had no idea what it was going to be yet. And so I had bought the domain, of course, right away. But other than that, we had no idea. And we were just, praying and thinking about it and what we were going to do. Then Gratitude Girls was born, and then Future that led into speaking engagements together and a coaching company together. And we've just had so many things that have come out of that and flourished out of it. But literally it just grateful. Catherine is one of my very closest friends. She is my rock anytime that I need, if I'm pretty good at being, level-headed mindset, right, or whatever. And, but when I do lose it, Catherine is good to set me straight and give me that firm foundation and, give me the what for, to tell me the way it is and to put me back on that straight and narrow path and where I should be. And so, yeah, I would say that that's my favorite attribute of her among many. But
everybody needs a friend like that, don't they?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. And I'd like to say one of the other things that Lori and I have decided to do is we travel together. So we continued to meet in different cities and do some of our shows on location in different cities. Lori came to Canada. We made a point, an intention of saying that we will travel the world together and that we will travel and we will have our shows and our guests coming from all over the world. So that seems like a big deal when I say it, but it was so easy and so natural. Are you taking this trip? Are you going to that and and share the same room? And just, we engrossed ourselves in engagement. And that really makes a difference when you go that extra step, right? Because you are really into that person and you're in the zone. Sometimes people are like, you're in my zone. We went into each other's zone. And when Lori talks about us being together and talking to each other about the things that, sometimes you just don't want to say certain things to certain people because you just don't know where it's going to land. I can say anything to Lori and she's going to be right there. It doesn't matter what time of the day or night. We're on 2 different time zones. It doesn't really matter the context. She gets it. All I have to really do is say 2 words. I probably don't even have to say anything. And she totally understands and knows, and she's right there. That's a continued commitment. It's beyond the, girl romance. We are going to make this a priority relationship, and it is going to work. above and beyond any other relationship. And we have families, we have husbands, we have, new people in our life. Nothing takes away from what we commit and how we build on it. And I'm very grateful for that, because we know people come into our lives and you say over the years, that was a friend and they lived there. Lori and I are not planning any time in this future or world to have anything come in between us. We all come together and we move and groove together. Our families move and groove together, even if they don't know it. That's what happens. And I'm really grateful for that, because that is a strong footing and a foundation that creates an awful lot of confidence, because I don't ever have to worry that this might be not a good day to say that. It just gives you that feeling that the foundation is strong. Thank you for asking that question.
That's a good response. It reminds me of, if you saw Dr. Strange, or I don't know which one it was, he said, "I will love you in every universe." It's like you will be friends in every universe.
Every paradigm. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And we feel that. And when we get together and we do a show, it's really emotional. It's really moving, because as we're speaking to you, you are part of the dream that we had, but we didn't know that you were.
Yeah.
We didn't know what we didn't know, but we knew that we'd be able to speak to amazing people like you and have you share your story, one of thousands that are so moving. I would like to know if you could identify a little bit about a destiny coach, because that is extremely intriguing, and our audience may not understand if they Google that, what that means.
What that means.
Can you put some context to that?
Well, it was one of those things. They said, "Can you describe what you do?" And people, I have so many people that have come to me in the past and said, "I just don't know why I'm here. I know I'm created for more. I know I'm here to do something." And one of the things that I recognized that kept coming out of me in speeches and just in my writing, in every aspect, this goes back years and even to my children, is I always wanted three things. I wanted to help people remember who they were, like who you truly are, before the world tried to re-identify you into something that you were not. You know who you are. You amazing child. You come out perfect. And then somebody, well-meaning, started to tell you what you shouldn't, all these things. The other thing is the power that you carry. We carry so much power as loving human beings, that we have the power to destroy or to heal people. It's huge. So knowing the power that you carry, so tap in, what is it that's in you that you carry that the world needs, because we're all different. We all have our own specific DNA. We all have our own frequency. Those are things that we need to look into and recognize where we're different, where we are one, and we're one in a million, even more than that, one of a kind. And then finally, why are you here? Why are you here? And you have to look at remembering who you are. What are the things you love to do? And then stepping into that place of, so what are the gifts and the talents? What are the powers that you have that you can carry into fulfilling your callings on this earth while you're here? And so that's what I'd call a destiny coach, is really, let's go ahead and take off the identity that doesn't belong to you. Let's take off the shame. Let's take off the guilt. Let's take off, the fear. Fear is a big one. Fear keeps you from being who you truly are. So those are some of the things I do, and I work with women. And the amazing thing is it actually comes through writing. Who would have thought?
Really?
Great therapy.
And yes, it is. And I also know that you have one of your biggest fans in the room with you. And I was wondering if you would like to have a guest appearance on your show tonight. Now would be a great time if you would like to do the introduction and tell our audience who we will be meeting.
Well, now this is my biggest fan. I will say that he chased me down in college, and there he comes. This is my husband, Mark Worton. And he's,
Oh.
if you read our book, all the people who read our book always feel sorry for Mark, because it was a hard time for him, and I was not easy on him.
Wasn't some of my finer moments. Put it that way.
But this is my best friend, 31 years. And we definitely, we are enjoying life together. Every day we say, I love doing life with you. And that's where we're at.
Well, it's so nice of you to come on, Mark. Thank you so much. Is there anything you'd like to say to your audience tonight?
Well, I'll just say this: as far as when you watch reels, a lot of times you'll see that they talk about a married couple. There's the boring one and the exciting one. Tonight we were walking up the sidewalk, and somebody was putting a quarter into the machine, and I said, "It's free."
It's free.
And Missy went on to tell them how excited she was as far as right now. You don't have to pay anything. It's really great. You're good. You're taken care of. And so you know which one the exciting one is in our relationship. I just keep following her around.
Not true. He's really funny.
Well, I can see how funny you are, because that's pretty funny the way you delivered that. Well, we appreciate you coming on to the show without a lot of notice, and you making this appearance tonight. So it means a lot, because you are a team, and it's nice to see you together. So your audience and our audience will get to know the two of you. Mark, can we follow you, or do we follow Missy to follow you?
You follow Missy to follow me.
Okay, perfect. So now we know how to get to the
Social
team.
media.
Exactly. We are a team. And I'll say this about my bride. She is bold, she's tenacious, and she is confident, but she's loving, she's compassionate, and she knows who she is and who she believes in. I'll say that about her. And she runs ahead, but I always catch up.
Seems
See
like
why I married him? He's a keeper.
it works. It works for the two of you, and that's so admirable. Thank you so much for bringing your partner on, and your teammate, your whole cheering section. I think it's mutual for the two of you.
Oh yeah.
That's so nice, and you look great together. I feel like I should take a picture of you.
Oh.
Maybe we could have a picture of you and put that up as well. You can send that to us.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Thank
beautiful.
you.
Yeah, no, you're so welcome. Is there something that you would like to say to the audience tonight? Like, you're thinking about the conversations that we've had about writing and coaching, but is there something that maybe we just didn't have a chance to touch on that you would like to give this message to the audience because you feel it's important for them to know, Missy or Mark?
You have some?
No, it's sure, Paul.
Well, the one thing I think one of the things I'd like to encourage people with is that so many times in our life we think we question that we were called to great things. And I just want to encourage people that you were called for great things, and the things in your past. I always look at the things in my past as where that's didn't define me, but it refined me. And it made me who I am. And that's the same thing with you. Anything from your past, let go of the fear, let go of the shame, let go of the guilt that is trying to hold you down and lock you into something that you're not, because the world needs you. They really need exactly who you are. And the message that you carry, the world needs to hear that. They need to hear that. There's someone out there that they're going to find their answer in you, because of what you share with them. So I just want to encourage people, just value who you are and remember who you are. And I think everybody can remember if they start thinking back to what really brings joy and love into their life again. So
Missy, did you ever imagine that your life would be where it is right now? Did you have that vision at one point? Or how did that work for you?
I thought it was going to be different, and I chose a different path, and that was family and children. And I'm very happy I did. I'm very happy I let go of the other things, because I was supposed to be singing, I was supposed to be being an actress, all those things, and I let it go to be a mom. And I know you can do both. I know you can, but I wanted to do it really well, and that's what I searched to do, and I prayed about it. And
as a mom, Missy, are you not singing and acting anyway?
Oh, all the
All the
time.
time. You got exactly that.
Yeah, all the time.
No break. You're doing it all 24/7.
Yeah, it's calmed down a little bit, but now it's gone into the drama phase. It's always something, but it's fun. They're growing up and becoming these amazing little humans. So,
I understand that. We have 7 grandchildren.
oh wow.
So I totally
Okay, that's awesome.
I understand evolution and what happens. And when you think of your child growing up, and then the next thing you know, you have your family keeps expanding. So
Yeah.
Lori also has a grandchild now, right? So we're seeing that phase of how our lives change, and it keeps getting better.
It gets better, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
That's each stage, each season. Just grab hold of it with all you got.
Take a breath and really be in it, like be in that moment, because
Yeah.
it does happen that it moves fast. So if we could somehow sit in that and feel it, if we were going to let it encompass us for a minute or for 5 minutes, then we could maybe bring it with us to the next minute.
Yeah. And don't get too busy. We get too busy, don't we? And we're looking at our phones too much. And sometimes I have to stop and breathe and say, wait, I want to embrace this right now. I want to feel all the feels. They're right here. See all the people, look in a person's eyes when they're talking to me. The things that matter in the end.
Right. That's how Lori and I continue to build our relationship, by being together and going out of our way in every relationship, right? It takes more than just a thought. There's an action, and there's an intention as well. If we could set an intention tonight for our audience, is there something that you could think of that we could say to the future writers, to the future authors, to the future famous publishers, whoever that is that's going to evolve from this? What would the intention be that we can set for this audience?
I think just there's so many things. Well, to live in the now, live in the now, and stop letting the past dictate what now looks like. And just embrace the life that you've been given, because there's a beautiful picture in there. There's a beautiful message. So live in the now and ask God, what's my life about? What message do I carry that can make impact on somebody else's life? And how can I make it to be a force for good?
You're certainly making an impact on the people around you. And it's such a pleasure to meet and to speak with you, and to meet your husband, and to really want to be able to know more. And I cannot wait to get my hand on your book.
Thank you. Well, I hope you enjoy it.
Yes, I will.
And we did make up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we have all the links on how to get all of that, right? So
Yeah.
we have everything posted. Lori, is there anything that you wanted to ask Missy? Because I was curious, like, what if somebody in our audience tonight says, I want to be in Missy's seat? How do they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have about a 1.5 year waiting list, like I said earlier, but go to facebook.com/gratitude girls. Make sure you like our page, add it to your interest, follow us, but click message and message us your gratitude story and tell us why you want to be featured on our show. And make sure you leave us your contact information so we can get a hold of you and get a schedule for you. And yeah, we can get you ready and get you on our calendar and see what that looks like. And tune in with us. Make sure you follow our show. Go to gratitudegirls.com. You can watch the last 10 years of once a month, every month, all of our amazing speakers and special guests. And every single month, it's 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, 7:30 Mountain, 6:30 Pacific, the 4th Tuesday night of every month.
Lori, thank you so much for all that you do to complete our show with all the tech. And Missy and Mark, it's so great to have you here. Hang out with us after we close the show. And to our audience and to our viewers, thank you so much. From us to you, we will see you next month.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.